We are here again for Q&A Friday. Hopefully this is working. I'm on live on Facebook and Instagram, so apologies. I think Instagram cut out last week, so I'll try and keep it to just the 10 minutes or 13 minutes or something so it doesn't cut out. Hey Lou. I got a couple of questions this week about breakfasts and about some milk products and what to do with milks and things. And I can hear some loud noises out there. I don't know what's going on. It's a bit funny today, the weather here. Alright, so I had a question around what some good breakfasts are, and then another one asking for some pancake recipes. So I thought this was a good idea. Hang on, we're telling more followers on video. Okay, that's fine. One of the breakfasts that we have regularly in this house, and as much for the kids as it is for me as well, because it makes so much, is a pancake recipe. And that is literally just consists of 1 or 2 bananas with 2 or 3 eggs and enough wholemeal flour to bind it. And that is it. I use wholemeal self-raising flour, but you could substitute that as long as it's a high fiber for flour, it doesn't matter. If you wanted to add, if you didn't have fruit, you could just do a regular, just do the flour and eggs, and that would be fine. But yeah, it's very, very simple. And when I say enough flour, I'm trying to think what I did yesterday morning. It was probably maybe 4 big tablespoons with 2, I had to do 3 because Carter wanted to use more, 3 bananas, and I think I did 2 eggs. So if you had 1 banana, 1 egg, and probably 2 or 3 tablespoons of wholemeal flour, that should make enough for 1 or 2 people. And then you can put whatever you like on it. So whenever I have it, I generally have it with some Greek yogurt, and then sometimes passion fruit or chopped berries, and it tastes delicious. The other thing that I got a question about this week was almond meal. Almond milk. So I'm not sure how many of you know, but almond milk is literally made by blending almonds with water and then letting it strain through a cloth so that you get the creamer of what's left over in the almonds. And then what's left is like I guess it's kind of like a wet almond meal. Now, I've made this a couple of times, and I've only ever used the almond meal straight away. So I've used it to make things like the orange and almond cake, which I'm going to put that recipe up because it's delicious and it uses whole almonds and it's a really good dessert. Which is literally oranges, almond meal, eggs, I think a little bit of sugar, and that's it. So it didn't matter because I was using it straight away. But if you wanted to dry out what's left over of the almond meal when you've made your almond milk, you can. So the directions that I've seen used in the past are to leave it on an oven tray and dry out in the oven. I will double check this. I sort of only saw 1 or 2 ways to do it, so I just want to read a few more things up on this and get back to you on it. But you can definitely use the almond meal that you have created from making almond milk. It's just a matter of how long you have to dry it out for and then storing it. I would potentially even store it in the freezer and then just take it out as you need it in cooking, or in your if you want to add it into smoothies or anything like that, because it won't really clump together too much if you spread it out on a tray and freeze it like that. So I hope that answers that question. Some other breakfasts that I also recommend are obviously anything egg based, so as long as you're not vegan or anything egg based, although even you could do the same recipe with silken tofu if you wanted to go have a vegan recipe. And I call it Indian eggs. So I don't know why, I had something similar once at the St Andrews Market and I've tried to replicate it and make it myself. So some fresh garlic and cumin and olive oil in a pan, and then I also add in a handful of spinach to wilt, and then I have 2 scrambled eggs with about probably a quarter of a cup to a third a cup of corn, I usually try and get it fresh off the cob, but if not, I just add, the little tiny mini tins of corn. I would normally add half to one of those in with it as well and scramble it all up, and then I have it in a with chili or sriracha hot sauce in a wrap or just as scrambled eggs. So if you didn't want to have egg, you could definitely use silken tofu for that as well. And that's great because it's giving you at least one, if not two serves of veggies with the spinach and the corn. Heaps of good properties you can get in garlic in as well. And then you're getting the protein from the eggs. You can also add a little bit of cheese if you want. Whatever I've got. I've also done that with, I didn't have spinach and I used broccoli instead. And then also scrambled through some smoked salmon at the end with chili, and that was delicious. And then just had that on a piece of whole grain toast. But again, you don't have to have the toast if you don't feel like it. It's still a good breakfast. Particularly with the corn in there, because the corn is a low GI carbohydrate as well. So if you wanted to have the corn and the egg on its own, then that would be fine too. So there you go, Indian scrambled eggs. I can put that recipe up in the group if we haven't already. I'll get my admin team to check whether it's already up, and if not, we'll add that in as well. Another breakfast that we have that I particularly have a lot is the Carmen's oats. So, and I have the ancient grains one. So that's not a flavored oat. It's just got heaps of different grains and seeds in it. That one I find, if I have regular oats, I find that it doesn't fill me up for long. Whereas this one seems to fill me up for a lot longer. The trick is that because all the seeds and grains are in there, it tends to go kind of hard quickly, so it turns into more of a cake. I add up to the line, so these are sachets, and I add up to the line. So if this is the container, I'll add up to the line, and then I'll probably add about another inch more of water or milk in as well to make it a little bit runnier. So the longer that it sits there, like this morning when I was running around after the kids, my breakfast sat on the bench for a little while, and it started to firm up. It doesn't, if you add extra water or milk, it doesn't firm up as much. The other thing I add is frozen raspberries. So, and I've had quite a few people this week say that they don't really like frozen berries because they don't like the texture. Raspberries, I find, because they are naturally like that, naturally kind of soft, they tend to go really, really well in that one. And I actually have frozen raspberries as a dessert in summer or winter or whenever. I'm a sucker for an icy pole, and I find this is another good option as an icy pole. There's hardly any sugar in berries, particularly raspberries, so it doesn't affect my blood sugars much, being type 1 diabetic, and it also is high in fibre, high in antioxidants, and they have a good flavour because they don't really pick and freeze berries when they're not in season. So it means that whatever you're buying is going to have the maximum flavour because they're growing it when it's most abundant. So they're going to have the most amount to pick and freeze. So that I find they taste really good, and they keep their shape a little bit because of when they're frozen, they're not. If you put them into the bowl frozen, they're only being melted by the heat of the porridge. And so they still kind of keep their shape, but it's nice to sort of mix it through the whole porridge anyway. The other things that are really good ways to start brekkie, so I've spoken about the Cape Seed loaf from Baker's Delight. That's a really high, that's a great for gut health because it's got the barley max in it, and it's high in fibre as well. And also got all the added seeds and grains, so there's going to be extra protein in there too. And some of the toppings, so I always try and think, if you're going to put something on toast, try and make sure that you're getting either protein, fibre, or good fats. So protein and good fats and fibre is something like the 100% nuts peanut butter. Hummus with sliced tomato is delicious on toast. So that's often a go-to. Avocado is high in fibre and also high in good fats. So it's going to keep you fuller for longer. If you're a sort of person that likes spread, so if you like Vegemite, have Vegemite, but see if you can put some avocado or tomato or something else with it, or even cheese, to be honest, because that's going to add a bit of protein and it's going to make your breakfast last a little bit longer. Some other really good go-to recipes that I find clients really like are things like zucchini muffins. So zucchini slice, but bake it in a muffin tray. and try and get as many veggie in there as you can. So it's going to be a high protein from the eggs, and then you're also going to get a serve of veggies. It's a savoury type breakfast, and it's a muffin, so you can just grab it and go. They freeze really well too. So if you were to get that out, as you're running out the door to go to work, if you don't have time to eat it before you leave, which I don't recommend, but if that's your life, when you get to work, chuck it in the microwave and you can have it heated up when you get there. That's another really nice way. And then there's always, if you have no time and won't leave the house without eating, a glass of milk and a piece of fruit. That's going to give you a source of fibre and protein from the fruit. The fruit's giving you the fibre, and the protein is coming from the milk, and you're getting a source of carbohydrate from the milk and from the fruit as well. And then when you get to morning tea time, you have a bit more time to have a more substantial snack, or a glass of milk, a piece of fruit, and a handful of nuts as well. They're all whole foods. They're easy to get. You don't have to do much to them. You can just grab it and go. There's some sort of my go-to options for breakfast, and I know there's more, but I could talk for a long time on this topic because breakfast is my most favourite meal of the day. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Again, let me know if there's any questions that you have, or I can't see if there's any questions coming up live on Facebook. I can see there's a few people watching, but I'm not sure who they are or if you've got any questions. Instagram, I'm still getting used to how to use this as a live tool. Thanks for tuning in. Happy Friday, and I'll see you next week. Bye.